So there's no talking about the industry without touching on AI. And when I first heard about AI coming out, I thought like this is going to have as big of an impact on art and artists as the invention of the camera, and probably more so. I talk to young artists, and there are a lot of them that are just like, why even bother? Like, why bother to learn the fundamentals? Why bother to learn how to do life drawing? Why bother when, AI will just be able to do everything for us? Yeah, that's a hard question to answer because who knows what AI is going to be able to do? I do know that there are some companies that have gotten rid of their whole viz dev department and replaced it with, a PA typing prompts into Midjourney and stuff like that. And I know that there's a ton of money going into AI, and even Katzenberg and some Pixar animators are collaborating on an AI project. They're saying that AI, what they're doing is going to do for animation what the iPhone did for cameras, that it's going to make it so accessible for everyone that everyone is just going to be able to animate. And on the surface, I think like, oh shit, like, no, that's the end of the industry. And then I guess I have to go back to the painters, and like realism was the thing. And then the camera came along, and all of a sudden you could get like a portrait of your family in a click, and you didn't have to sit for a painting, and you didn't have to deal with artists. So it's a little familiar. But that brought about the Impressionists, and suddenly artists were focusing on color and light and things that the camera couldn't really do, and I feel like that's a little bit what we need to do with when it comes to AI. I'm so not for using Midjourney for ideation and on all of that stuff. I feel like that all of that part of AI is definitely going to cause a drop off in skill level, because there will be people that will just do a bunch of AI generated images and sort of like smash them together and then do some finishing touches on it and call it their own. But people are going to do the same thing with ChatGPT and writing books. They're going to do the same with a lot of different AI, and it doesn't make it good. Like, just because everyone can do it doesn't mean that everyone can do it. There's a skill involved. There's an art involved. There's a personal touch that has to go into it. And AI can't replicate that. Like, the stories that are uniquely your own, the way that you tell it is uniquely your own. When you have a whole team of artists working on a project, and you can see the fingerprints of all of those different artists all across the project, like, AI can't replicate that. I don't know, maybe it can. Why would you? Except that it shows the humanity in the project. And really, I think what we're worried about is like, also Katzenberg said that, AI is going to cause a 90% reduction in the staff needed to make an animated film. And so I think that we think like this is how the studios are going to crush us, and they're going to just use AI for all of their stuff. And I guess a little bit I feel like we should reframe, because like, don't jump out at me, but like, not all AI is bad. I saw a story about a recycling plant that's using AI to determine like the different kinds of plastic that are on the conveyor belt that are going by, and that, they have pickers that are pulling off all of those things, and it's making recycling actually profitable for the companies that are using this software. And yes, there is a loss of jobs with that. But the loss of jobs is for people touching trash. And yes, it's a job, but if AI can help with something like that, then maybe we could look at like how AI could help us with what we do, instead of just seeing it as the evil monster. So I don't use Midjourney. I don't use any of the image generation things. I have used the generative AI tool in Photoshop, but I use it for things like remove this wire, stuff that you would have done with the stamp tool before, that now you can just like tell it, remove that. Not using it to create images, but I'm using it as a tool to help me do what I need to do faster. And I feel like that if we kind of flip the script on the whole AI thing and make it not about like the studios not needing us, what if it's that with it, we don't need the studios? If we were to use AI more in like our personal workflow, we could make longer, more finished personal films. I don't know if you can hear the neighbor's kids yelling, but the neighbor's kids are yelling. I've heard various different AI tools that have been coming out, especially with making 3D more accessible. And so for me, like, I'm a 2D animator, and for most of my world, it's all still 2D. The storyboards are 2D. I have been using 3D, for the last 5-6 years. I've been doing nothing but 3D projects. But like, all of the parts that you have to know in order to actually be able to do the thing, it's still off-putting to me. And I don't have a lot of time left on this planet. I'm not a young kid. I'm not going to spend all night learning how to do Blender. If a studio is paying me to learn how to do Blender, I would totally learn how to do Blender. But like on my own, I would rather just draw and create than like have to learn how to make the machine do the thing. So if AI could help me be able to go into something like Blender, and not have to know all of this stuff, just have to know the filmmaking and just have to know the animation part of it. And if it were able to help me as an individual do films, then I don't know that that's a bad thing. And if we were all using it for that, where we're using it as a tool to help us, to liberate us from the studios, that is just an archaic system of like factory work. That's why the studios were built the way they were built. That's the animation production pipeline is built that way. It's just a factory assembly line. But if we could make films that were more personal, and if we could have these tools to help us make these films, I don't see how that could be bad. Like, Flow winning just now showed that, independent feature animation has a shot. And, they're using Blender. And if there was an AI component that assisted in that, not saying that it just generated everything, but why would that be bad? I've seen software where it's like predictive posing, where like you lift up a leg for a character and the AI sort of like tilts to like adjust for the imbalance now. And so it's kind of helping you predict what the pose is, or it's doing some of the other work for you as you're going along doing your thing. I've seen other AI, it's super crude, but where you can draw something and then it predicts what it is that you're trying to draw. If you could train that AI to draw in your style and do your thing, as long as you're still doing it, How would that be different than, like, having a computer helping you with your word processing? And will it cause a loss of jobs? Absolutely, it will totally cause a loss of jobs. It's already happening. It's just going to continue to happen. But like throughout the history of animation, every time a new technology comes in, it brings with it the loss of jobs. It creates other new jobs, but we don't have inkers that are inking on cells. We don't have painters that are painting on the backs of cells. We don't have cameramen that are shooting film of because all of those things were replaced by digital technologies. And a little bit, this feels like it could just be another one of those. I'm sure, please don't fill the comments with hate, because just really thinking out loud. I just think that if we can use it to help, and if we can own our IP, and we can get a finished product out without having to pitch, to a million different executives who are all going to have their little tweaks to it, and without having to beg for money in order to be able to afford like this other process, if it could help level the playing field with the major studios, I don't know that, like, is it really that bad? Completely starting from scratch, just generating it with AI, having AI write the script, having AI do all of the animation, having AI do the editing, having AI do the music, that's gonna happen. Someone's gonna do that, and it's gonna make money because it costs so little to make. The return on investment will be huge. I'm not saying we do that. I'm not endorsing that. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. I mean, there have been some fully AI animated features already. You can find them out there. I know of one at least. And it's just garbage. It's like, but just what was it, like a year and a half ago was Will Smith eating spaghetti. That was the state of the art. And look at where we're at now with things like Sora. So there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. So how do we make it so that the genie works for us, and not for the big studios? That's what I would like to see. I would like to be able to continue to be creative and use this tool to help get it out there and do the things that I can't do. Maybe those things are jobs that other people would be doing. But just think that if we can break through, then we can write a new history and we can make it a net positive. And I know speaking positively about AI is like, I'm going to get blasted. But again, if it's a tool that helps, I've seen a lot of, in my 30 years, I've seen it go from, painted cells shot on film to digital ink and paint, and then now, like, everything is done in the computer. So we're doing the storyboards directly into the computer. We're animating in the computer. It's never in the analog world. So how is this not just another tool? I don't think that the tools are there yet, but I would like it if we could guide it so that it works for us and not against us. So it still needs us and doesn't replace us, I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah, please don't fill the comments with hate. Yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts at the moment. Could change in a month. We'll see what comes out with AI. But there we go. I'll see you in the next one.